A lot of you have been asking what art supplies I use, and I'm going to show you here today. So, obviously, I draw digitally and traditionally, so I'm going to show you what, apps I use, what tablet I use, and all of my traditional art supplies. So I'll go through the traditional art supplies first, and you can skip along further in the video for my digital part. So yeah. To draw, I usually use like generic printer paper, and I'll use sellotape and glue to stick it into my notebooks. So this is my most recent notebook, and as you can see, it's a lot of like sticking in extra paper. Mostly because I just like find it easier to doodle on extra paper and then stick it in. And yeah, I find it just like so much easier, and it's only a cheap notebook, like the paper's not that good inside of it. But yeah, it's a cheap notebook, so I'm not bothered about messing it up or anything. I usually get my sketchbooks from like Poundland, B&M's, and sometimes, like very rarely, The Range. But again, it depends, because there are lots of places to get your sketchbooks, but for me personally, I just prefer printer paper and sticking it in like this specifically. It just makes me happy. Also, I really like this page. It's just so like colourful and bright. Canvases, again, I will get from like Poundland or, Home Bargains, just because it's cheaper, and I usually just prime them with white paint and they're good to go. For sketching, I usually use pencils or mechanical pencils. They're easy to use, they're cheap, you can refill them really easily. So I do prefer using these. You can get loads of them in like multi-packs, so it's really good. In terms of outlining, I do just use like any marker that I find. So I have a whiteboard marker that I use a lot. Two permanent markers that I use, and then my paint marker, which is like a knockoff Posca, and I think I got that from Home Bargains. And then for like normal outlines, I use like fine liners, gel pens, and just like a generic like writing pen. And the reason is I just find it super simple and easy, and I just really like bold lines. So these are my favorite kind of like art supplies to use when I draw. This is probably going to be the longest section, and it's the colours. So these are the alcohol markers that I use. They're like some random twin markers from The Range. They've got a lot of variations, and there's a lot of different like ones you can buy, but they're one of my favourites, and they do blend really well. The next is my permanent markers, which I got for Christmas one year from my good friend Rosie. They're Weevil permanent markers, and I mostly use them for like drawing on top of things or like outlining things. But they work really well. There's a lot of variety in the colour. The only issue is I have to store them upside down so the ink doesn't dry out. And of course, I can't talk about colours without talking about my acrylic markers. So I have two sets of acrylic markers. So the first set is from Shein that my mum bought me a while ago, and they just haven't dried out, which is the main reason I still have them. And the next is these Arteco acrylic markers, which are new. And they are a blessing. They are so like soft and creamy. I don't even know, like they're like brush acrylic markers, but I just really enjoy using them. And yeah, I just really appreciate how like good they are compared to the Shein ones. So the Shein ones, they're fine tip and they're very like awkward to use. When colouring large spaces, it's very finicky and takes a while. But with the Arteco ones, it's just a lot more nice and more fun to colour. So I can't talk about colours without talking about highlighters. I love highlighters. They pop so much in my books. They give off this such like bright neon effect, which is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this is my big necessity in art, highlighters. I use them for backgrounds, I use them for colouring, for shading. They're just amazing. And I think these were just a cheap set from Poundland. I'm not really sure. I don't remember getting them, so... This one is one that I don't use that much, but I still do use it quite a bit, and it's soft pastels and oil pastels, so I'm putting them both in the same category because I kind of use them for the same thing when I colour. I use a lot of them for shading or like adding texture to my drawings, so I do really like using soft pastels. And I got, I think, a 24 pack from, I think it was Hobbycraft, and then I got a 4 pack of oil pastels from Home Bargains. So those are the pastels / oils that I use. The next few things in terms of the colour section are my coloured pencils, which are just a cheap set from Poundland, I think. I've also got some random crayons that I keep taking from restaurants, and also I've got these extra acrylic markers, which are twin sets. It's twin set brush markers from Poundland as well. I also have fine liners in all the colours, and I also have markers in all the colours, which I got in a double, like they're a double twin pack set, so. And pretty much just acrylic paints on top of that, but then I don't use those as much because I'm not really a fan of acrylic paints that much. And that's it in terms of colours, so now we can move on to the digital stuff. So I have a few ways to make digital art, so I'm going to talk about all of them right now. So in terms of physical stuff, I use my UGEE drawing tablet with the graphic pen that it came with, as well as my computer. And I also have an iPad. I think it's a Gen 9. I'm not exactly sure. I decided to switch up to digital art for a bit because it was
but it
a lot
seems to get the job done, and I just use my finger for that. I usually use it for like animation, so not so much drawing.
The layering and stuff.
And yeah, so digital,
for
like physical stuff,
I was on digital art, which was really
my
fun
UGE
and enjoyable
tablet and my computer.
So I do have quite a few softwares that I use, but I mostly use Fire Alpaca on my computer and Ibis Paint on my iPad. And then I'm going to give honourable mentions to MS Paint, which I do use quite a lot for sketches and just like doodles because I find it fun to draw on. And a final honourable mention to Paint Tool SAI, which I used to use in the past, but I don't use it as much anymore because I just prefer Fire Alpaca. I am so sorry about the background noise for the video because I have recorded a lot of the voiceover in the car. My brother is currently calling me naughty, so thank you for watching the video. I hope that you've been inspired to draw something or to get some new supplies, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And finally, for the rare animations that I do, I use Flipperclip and Pixel 2D, as well as Fire Alpaca and Sony Vegas if I'm animating on my computer. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.